Hey guys, Steven Martinez with The American Dream. I just want to say a big thanks to all our supporters and fans. It's because of you guys that we're able to keep growing. Having said that, please don't forget to follow and subscribe. It means a lot to us. That's what helps us keep growing. And also, I hope you guys enjoy the next episode. Hey guys, welcome back to The American Dream podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Kirt Linington, CEO and founder of Linear Roofing. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you spending time with me.
The pleasure's all mine, man. I know before it started, you were telling me how you get invited to all these podcasts because of the success that you have within the industry that you're in. Having said that, why don't you do any more podcasts?
Well, I'm on one.
I'm
just kidding. I sort of, at one point, obviously, I think sometimes as you're experiencing success, specifically in a specific industry, everyone sort of wants to know what you're doing, right? And people are always I think people are always trying to chase the next thing to get as many likes and views as they can. And I think as I was climbing through the ranks in the industry, I was getting calls left and right. Hey, come be on my podcast, And, a couple of reasons. One, unless being on a podcast is generating revenue for me, or it's part of my profession or something like that, then to some point, like why am I doing it? And I think there's a period where I did it because I wanted to give back and share everything I'd learned and help everyone else out there and give them the knowledge, and happy to do that. And I've helped a lot of roofing companies. I've helped a lot of folks in business, real estate agents, all these kind of folks that I've sort of helped with. But I feel like unless it's something that's generating revenue for you, you have to always continually reinvent yourself and continually focus on what your message is and come up with sort of fresh information all the time. Because if you keep going from podcast to podcast to podcast, you're sort of diluting yourself because you're given the same message. And at some point, no one's going to want to turn it on anymore because they've heard it. It's the same old thing. So unless I'm going to put in the time and effort to reinvent and come up with a new message and add more value instead of saying the same old thing because I'm generating revenue from it, then in some ways I'm doing the podcast a disservice because they're just going to be sort of putting a message out there that's already been out there on 10 other podcasts. And so I definitely don't want to do that, right? And so I just made the decision that I'm going to stop doing podcasts, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to dilute the message unless I'm going to generate revenue, which I've already said. But yeah.
Absolutely, no, it makes perfect sense. Having said that, I have a lot of really good questions to ask you. But before we get into that and get into all the details and all that good stuff, for anyone that is watching, just isn't aware of Linear Roofing, Kirt Linington, to kind of sum it up, from where you started to where you are now, what's your trajectory been like since that?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Originally we started a roofing company. I started with a good friend of mine, Neil Palmer, and it was really just to generate some extra money, right? I had a great career in corporate America. I'd been there a very long time. I'd moved through the ranks, and I think I had a pretty great career, but there was always something more, right? And it was like, hey, how do you make some extra cash? So I'm like, hey, I know this guy and we've become friends and he knows roofing. And one day we were at a bar and I said, hey, how much longer? Because he actually left the company I was with and started working for a roofing company again. And I'm like, hey, why don't we open up our own thing and you can stop working for all these other guys. I'll put money up or whatever it takes and run sort of the behind the scenes, and you sort of know roofing, so you sort of handle that, right? And not only that, I felt like I had some pretty good attraction power, so I'd be able to attract some talent to the team and allow us to make some extra cash. And I know it sounds crazy, but my initial theory was, if I could make an extra 10 grand a month on top of what I was making, that'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, we started this thing, and just one thing, it snowballed and just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it sort of became this movement. And in some ways, some guy said to me one day, he said, I don't know how you guys did it, but somehow you took an industry that most people look down upon because they're contractors and made it sexy, right? And so how did you do that? And so we carried on growing, and then eventually I stayed at the company I was with for 4 years while I was building the company. And then finally I'm like, hey, at some point, I'm going to lose credibility, right? Because all my people are all in, and I'm double dipping, right? Like I'm working that, and I'm working this, and like they're all in on this, right? So at some point, I just decided that, hey, if I was already making more money in my part-time thing than I was my full-time thing, what was my potential if I went all in, right? And so that's what I did. I quit a 20-year career to go all in on the roofing. So essentially, I've been in roofing full-time now for about 5 years, which is not that long. And so we were able to accelerate past most of the competition. I don't think it's really because we did anything magical in the sense of like you've seen that commercial where they said we didn't invent the sandwich, we just made it better.
Yeah.
Right? And sort of the same thing in roofing, right? We didn't invent roofing, but we wanted to come in and just do it better. And in some cases, as they say in life, timing is everything. And fortunately for me and everyone that came along with me is that we chose an industry that's highly fragmented, still mom and pop, not too advanced. And we were able to parlay our previous careers, expertise in recruiting, training, and developing, and bringing it to an industry where it was all mom and pops that really were people that learned how to put roofs on, didn't really know how to run a business, didn't know how to build teams, didn't know how to train the trainer, develop people from point A to B to C to D, and take them through the different growth levels to turn them into professionals, right? So we came in and we added systems and process and professionalism to somewhat of a mom and pop, highly fragmented industry. So fortunately, I was able to stumble on an industry that hadn't advanced much yet, and take my previous experience and apply it.
So I know we had Kaiser here before. Big shout out to him, by the way, for making this happen.
Who's that? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
A great friend of mine. I consider him a brother. I knew you came from LA Fitness, correct?
Yes.
So that jump that's a very day and night type of thing. You go from the gym to roofing, right? It's a big switch. How do you become different in that specific industry when you're switching into the roofing side, where it's competitive, specifically Dallas, right? It's a competitive market. I understand systems, operations, procedures. You understand the game for roofing. You do X to A to Z. And then to really become different in that market and stand out, what kind of helped you go from that next level?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more simple than what most people think. I think a lot of homeowners get frustrated with contractors, right? Because contractor says they're going to do something, or they say it's going to be a certain price, or they say they're going to do it a certain way. They say they're going to be there on a certain day and a certain time, and they're just not. And in some ways, it's sort of like a hostage situation, because this person has expertise that you as a homeowner don't have, and you've chosen them, and now you're already in this engagement, and now you just need them to finish and do it right, right? And unfortunately, I think sometimes in some industries, when folks ask you for money up front, you're now sort of hostage to them because you need it finished. And in an industry where at the time, I think it's come a long way, but I think at the time when we first started, it was still very people just weren't doing what they said they were going to do. So we'd made the decision that if we come into an industry with a lot of folks that are sort of holding homeowners and people hostage, is to just do the right thing. We started it by living by an expression that says, mean what you say what you mean, nothing more, nothing less. If we say we're going to do something, do it. If we say we're going to be somewhere, be there. And even if we say we're going to do something and we get it wrong, we fix it even if we lose money. Because we think globally, we don't think one project, right? So, do the right thing, even if it costs you money. Just fix it and do the right thing, because that person knows 10 other people, and we can get referrals, and we can do a lot of other things to regenerate profit, right? Whereas I think a lot of people in business treat every single sale as the last sale on earth, and therefore customers get screwed over. I mean, think about I know this is sort of maybe controversial, but, and I don't mean anything bad by the industry, but who likes the car buying experience?
No one.
No one, right? And even if you go in there and you promise them that you're going to refer them to 10 of your friends, you still feel like you got shafted some way, somehow, right? You still feel like, and I feel like they treat every customer like it's the last sale they're ever going to get. And there's no benefit there. And so we didn't want to do that, right? There were some other thoughts, right? We came from an industry that was micromanaged. Like badly, like every little detail, where you're at. Hell, in some cases, well, not in some cases, we had phones that tracked us, every movement, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying I think it was managed wrong to the point that it became so negative, right? And so when we started this business, what we wanted to do is we wanted to take folks that never had much going for them and get them to truly experience what living is and live the American dream. And what is that? Work less, make double the amount of money, and create more memories with your family. And if we could create an environment where people have the freedom of expression to own their business under our umbrella, a business within a business, where all they got to do is focus on the sales and run it through our business. We handle everything else from insurance to liability to installation to all those kind of things. How awesome is that? And so because this was happening and people were experiencing this, our ability to recruit was massive. Because everyone says, take care of the customer, take care of the customer. But I say take care of your people because they take care of the customer. But more importantly, if you take care of your people, they'll go tell everyone else they know how much they love their job and how much money they're making. And then all those people are going to say, well, how do I get involved? And so we had this ripple effect of people that all wanted to come work for us. And then I know I've gone on a tangent here, but I've got to add one more caveat.
Please.
COVID hit.
Why not?
Well, you got to know, and if you remember, when COVID first hit, there was a massive amount of uncertainty in the country, a massive amount of uncertainty in business. If I remember, like Wells Fargo had like $700 million of unpaid mortgages in a very short period of time, and there was just this massive like crackdown where people were like, I just got to hold on to my money because I don't know how long I'm going to have to live without working because I may not have any more money coming in. And for us doing roofing, we had all these roofs that had been installed, and it's like, are we going to get the back end checks? Like if they're not paying their mortgages, they're not going to pay the roofer, right? And so, but there was another side to that, and that was a lot of people were facing a position of not being able to go to work. A lot of people were let go. They cut back. Everyone cut back, right? And so I had a conference call with all the leaders because everyone was in a panic. And I said, here's what we're going to do. Here's the play. We're going to double the size of our business overnight. And everyone's like, how? Like he's crazy. And I'm like, every single person out there, if we can't if the marketing's not working and you can't go knock doors in a storm or whatever it is because it's COVID, right? Then every single person has a phone, and every single person has contacts in it. And back in the day, we called that a Rolodex. And so, organically, we could hire everyone that got let go, create a platform for them to generate some revenue so they can feed their family, and when COVID ends, they could go back to their job. But now you're facilitating a process where you're helping everyone, and you're able to get on every roof of everyone that they know to inspect it for damage. And then number 3, everyone's going to be stuck at home. They're going to get bored. They got nothing to do, right? And so why not pick up some projects? Learn about what goes into a roof. Like if we do it during this process, you're going to be at home. Let us educate you so that in the future, if you ever have a roof replacement again, no one's going to be able to pull one over on you. Because not only did we help you, not only did we install a great product, but we also educated you on the process. So that was our mindset, and it worked.
I think that's great.
Well.
I think in essence, you pretty much perfected the blueprint specifically for that industry. Having said that, I think one of the key elements that really separates an owner and entrepreneur is that mindset. So that entrepreneur mindset, I kind of want to dig into your mind a little bit. What created that, that hustle, that determination to just be next level? Was it your childhood? How was that?
I got mental issues.
Don't we all?
No, no, I'm just kidding. I probably do. I just hide them very well. But yeah, most definitely, right? You're the average of the 7 people you spend most of the time with. You're also the average of your upbringing, right? And if you go back and you look at pictures of yourself and your buddies when you were 13, you'll notice that you guys all sort of had similar hairstyles, or were wearing the same kind of clothes.
Yeah.
And that sort of shows you that like you sort of, you do that. And for me, I had an interesting upbringing.
You grew up in
South Africa, yeah. I came over to the U.S. when I was 26.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I came on April 17th, 1999. I came to the U.S. And so I faced a lot of adversity growing up. And I never wanted to go through that again or experience what I had to. And if I had a family one day, I would never want them to go through what I went through. And so that created this can't lose, hardworking attitude. But it started manifesting itself when I was younger, even in sports. I used to stay away from home. I used to spend as much time as I could practicing, playing sports, being engaged in winning competitive activities that would actually keep me away from home. And so I think that definitely helped.
So then moving forward from there, when you came here, you went straight to the gym industry, correct?
I did, yeah.
How long were you there for?
Just under 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that play a big role in terms of being in the roofing industry? Did you pick up good habits from that you transferred onto the construction side?
Absolutely. Look, the owner of LA Fitness, Louis Welch and Chin Yi, the 2 owners, phenomenal guys. One was a lot harder on me than the other, but in different ways, and learned a lot of what I know on development and teams and people from working there. Yeah.
What were one of your key mentors that kind of helped you just propel yourself throughout your life?
I've had one guy at LA Fitness that's always been the guy that I can pick the phone up and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, I'm frustrated with that. Or, what do you, these kind of things. His name's Mike Barton.
Okay.
And so he's always been there for me and always helped me. Because specifically when I was younger, right, I was extremely stubborn, hard-headed. When I was a lot younger, it was my way or the highway. We talk about leadership. Your ability to work with many different personality types will determine your success, not just people like you. And the problem with most people that are starting a business or growing a business is that they're always trying to find people like them.
Wow.
And how often are you going to find people like you? The reality is, if you're really, really good, you're probably not going to find people like you because they're doing their own thing too. Right? And so until you can develop the ability to have a better understanding and acceptance of people for who they are and where they want to go, and understanding what's important to them and channeling that to get them to achieve their goals. And you can do that with all the personality types, not just people like you, you're going to be massively successful. Because think about it, if I only favored or hired people that think like me and act like me. You could even go in people with same political views, people with whatever it is, right? I probably wouldn't have a big team, right?
100%.
But knowing and feeling. So I'll give you another classic example, right? So I get roofing company owners and people asking me this, how do you build a big team? How do you build a big team? I just keep getting to a point and then I lose people and I lose people and I lose people. And I said to them, look, I think I used to be that way, right? Because what we do is we impose our will and our goals onto other people. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question. Let's say I hire a kid that's making 50 grand a year, and he comes to work with me, mm-hmm. and all of a sudden he's making 120 grand a year, mm-hmm. more than double what he was making. Mm-hmm. And we have guys making 400, 500, 600, the numbers go pretty up, but say an average guy, right?
Yeah.
He was making 40, 50 grand a year, now he's making 120.
Okay.
But he's somewhat working part-time.
Okay.
He's got his own registered business name and he's channeling that work through our business. He's sort of working part-time, but he's happy, super happy. He pays his bills, he's got some money to party and have fun with his girlfriend, and she makes some money, and he's happy. But because the business is not hitting its goals, and because he's good, I keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to get him to 200, right? What am I really doing? I'm breaking down morale. Because now I'm imposing my goal onto someone who's super happy. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just go find a whole lot more of him that mm-hmm. want to make 120 and be happy? So do I look to take my existing guys and squeeze them so much that I push them out? Or do I pay close attention to my people, firstly know them, secondly know their goals, and help them achieve their goals, lead them to their goals, in the sense that they're independent contractors, so this is all, positive nudging, mm-hmm. like, not, hey, here's what you must do. Whereas the environment we came from was, hey, you need to go to work and do this and this and this and this. And in some ways, the average American that's going to a 9-to-5 job mm-hmm. for a company, if they were being honest with you, they're serving a sentence to get a paycheck to pay their bills and live their life, and then go drink alcohol every weekend so they can numb themselves and repeat the process every Monday.
So what makes you think different from, I guess, quote unquote, your average person? What's instilled in your mindset to a T? Is it the discipline? Is there something specific that is just entailed in your mind where you're like, I think this way and this is how I should think? I'm relentless in the mindset that mm-hmm. you're never going to convince me that it's hard, and you're never going to convince me that we can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so I've sort of programmed myself over the years by, look, I'm 51 now. I have disciplines. Like, I wake up, I work out, I have a routine, I always go to the office, no matter how good or bad we're doing, right? And I share this sometimes with people. So a lot of folks, and let me just throw something out there, just for the audience so people don't hate me. There are a lot of people that work a 9-to-5 that claim to be happy, they love their job, and they're mm-hmm. happy. Mm-hmm. Good. I don't want to change that. But I do believe there's a lot of people that are not. Not everyone's unhappy, because I'm sure someone watching is going to say, bullshit, I'm happy. Yeah.
I get it. Stay happy, keep doing what you're doing. But for those folks that aren't, right? Mm-hmm. What if you could work for yourself, still work hard? And when I say work half the time, I've always said, there's a book out there, 4-Hour Work Week, and there's different things, right? I believe too many people are serving that sentence where it's a time thing, not a results thing. And so I believe I can do what most people do in 8 hours in 3 hours. Go in, highly focused, high charging, fast paced, move, get it done, and I'm out. I don't have to live there anymore.
So you're big on work smarter, not harder, essentially.
It's a combination, yeah. Okay. I agree.
So having said that, so moving forward with Linear Roofing, if I'm not mistaken, it's sold, right? To private equity, correct?
Yes, we joined a private equity group.
So what was that process like? For anyone wondering, let's say, well, I'm a roofer, I'm doing 7, or about to hit 8 figures. We have a good track record of 3 to 5 years. We have good P&Ls, good profit margins. What's that kind of secret sauce to get involved with private equity and be successful?
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of groups form, and we've seen a lot of people join private equity, and then we hear a lot of murmurs in the background of how some folks aren't happy, and they this and they that, and all the rest of it. The first thing I always said to my team before we did it was, hey, this is like another marriage. Someone you need to count on, someone you can depend on, someone you can trust. You're not always going to be able to do what you want your way all the time. Right? Think about it. In a relationship, sometimes, wifey may want to go watch that love movie, and that may be the last thing on earth that you feel like doing.
Yeah.
But you go do it sometimes because it's not just about you, right? And or whatever it is, right? And you buck up and you do what you need to do, right? I think the challenge for a lot of these guys is that they've been business owners for themselves for so long, and now all of a sudden someone's saying, hey, you can't do it this way, you've got to do it another way. That's hard.
How's that for you?
When I come from change, and we built our company on change. And so for me and my people, it's been much easier because they're used to us changing things to get better. Because remember, we got over 100 million comparatively to other companies really fast. And so the only way you're going to do that is to be continually growing and adapting and changing every single year, right? Because you can't just add sales if you don't improve the infrastructure. You don't add talent to the team, because then you're going to start dealing with too many problems, right? And so I tell people, stop chasing destinations in business, right? You say to yourself, well, if I could just get X amount of sales guys, or if I could just get my books done, if I could just do this. Because the true reality is, if you want to grow, then the minute you get somewhere, you've already outgrown that, and you're going to have to change it again. And then you're going to outgrow that, and you're going to have to change that again. So at some point, just do your best, set some goals and hit your goals. But stop selling yourself on the fact that you're going to get to some destination and be happy, because you're not. And if you want to grow, you're going to be forced to change those things. I'll give you a quick example. You're growing a business, you're doing really well. Maybe you've got up to 50 guys. You're running your business on QuickBooks, and you're running on a cash basis. Well, and I stand to be corrected, but if I remember correctly, 3 years in a row at north of 25 million, you're going to be forced to start moving to accrual basis, right? And all these companies that sold to private equity had to switch from cash to accrual anyway. And so you're growing your business, you got it all under control, and now you got to switch that, right? And then you're going to join private equity, and you're may get onto an ERP system, and then once you get everyone on, maybe you've added a whole lot more, and now the ERP system isn't as effective as it needs to be for that volume number, because your volume's twice as what it used to be. So now you got to move to another one, right? So it's this ever-growing, ever-evolving mentality of change. And it's like a football game, right? If you're on the field,
soccer or football?
Either one.
Okay.
Any sports game.
Yeah.
Ref blows the whistle. If you understand the rules of the game, right, and the ref blows the whistle, are you upset? You're probably bummed because you made a mistake, whatever it is, but you're not upset with the ref. But if you don't understand the rules of the game and someone blows the whistle, you get angry, right? Because you haven't admitted to yourself that, hey, this is the rules of engagement, this is how it works, right? And so as long as you have created an environment where people know that things will change to grow, then every time you make a change, everyone doesn't say, oh, I'm out of here, I'm tired of all this change, which I think happens to a lot of business owners. And the other side of that is because they're not as forthcoming about change with their people the way that they should be. Because when you're forthcoming, for example, when we went to private equity, we told everyone. Our whole team knew about it. They were part of the rah, let's go there, let's get there, let's join a bigger group, let's grow this thing, let's take over the country, and be the biggest and baddest out there, and do it right and do it better than everyone else, right? So we got that buy-in. It's not like everything's a secret and then they find out, and and now you're starting having casualties.
So for me, and I like how you're talking about adaptability and change, and I think that's important in business. Now they say business is an extension of who you are, right, as a person. Having said that, I kind of want to touch on the personal aspect a little bit. How important is it, would you say, to be adaptable and to be consistently wanting to improve on a personal side?
You know, I live by a lot of expressions. And the first one I can tell you is that you can't help me manage my checkbook until you can manage your own checkbook first. Right? And so the same thing in business. Same thing in family. You can't take care of your family unless you're at your peak. If you're run down and all the rest of it, then you're not going to be the best to take care of your family, right? So you have to take care of you first in every aspect of your life. And it may seem somewhat selfish, but like, I can't be the best version of who I need to be for my family, for my business, for our customers, for our partners, unless I take care of me first. So it's absolutely critical.
Having said that, if someone, let's say I'm 21, I'm a young entrepreneur, I'm hustling, I'm driven, I come from not the best, not the worst childhood, but I understand sacrifice and opportunity. What would you advise that 21, 22, 23-year-old, doesn't matter, it doesn't even have to be roofing or construction in general. What would you give them in terms of advice to take themselves to that next level to be successful?
Yeah. Stay the course.
How do you know if you're staying the course?
Yeah. In today's world with so much like information out there and just so many shiny things pulling you in a million different directions of like, and then you're placing that self-pressure on yourself that like, I could do more, I should be doing more, and look at this kid, and look at that person, and you're comparing yourself to others, and you're just getting sucked into everything. Even as business owners, we get sucked into this, right? You see another company posting, like, when we were growing, like you see a company that you're competing with post on the top 100 that they did 50 million that year, and we only did 30 million, and you're like, we suck. Like, you're comparing yourself to everyone else, and you're getting sucked into the wrong thing. Right? Put your head down, stay focused. You know, we in South Africa, we call it blinkers on a racehorse. Like they put those on the horse for a reason, because when he's running down the track, he can't get distracted. The horse is on the left and the right of him. He's just focused on the goal line, right? And so a lot of people that know me have known me over the years that I've always preached that, like, if you stay in one place long enough, you'll eventually be the boss, or you'll eventually be the guy, because everyone else will leave. Everyone else will get emotional. Everyone else will get sucked into the traps. Everyone else will move aside. There's also, you know, like the 1,000-hour rule, 10,000-hour rule, right? To become world-class at anything, you have to have 10,000 hours under the belt. Right? If you keep changing, you never become great at anything. And now there is something to be said about experiences and new experiences and changed environments and new lessons, but I think you can learn those in one place too.
Beautiful. Having said that, what's the 10, 20-year plan for you in general? I know linear is skyrocket, but Kirt, what does Kirt want to do in the next 10, 15 years?
I was going to say 20-year plan, I'll be gone. No, I'm just kidding. Stick a fork in me at that point.
Yeah.
You know, once again, we set out to do it better, but we also set out to want to be one of the true first national roofing solutions providers in the nation, helping everyone from homeowners to suppliers to, you know, whether it's insurance, whether it's retail, agnostic to damage, you know, whether it's weather, whether it was age, agnostic to payment, whether it's paid for by insurance, whether it's financed, whether it's paid for by the government. And as we're on this podcast, I mean, I think we're a couple of hours away from potentially one of the worst hurricanes Florida's ever seen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hopefully all the folks out there are going to stay safe and, you know, do the right thing. I hope they all left to get out of there. So sending all our prayers their way, that they get through this safely.
Yeah.
Even though we do that work, it's not good to see something coming this destructive.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Thoughts and prayers out to them for sure. I know we're a little short on time now, but before we go to the closing side, I want to say this on camera in front of you so viewers can understand the importance of, they say luck is preparation when preparation means opportunity. And I think the most valuable commodity we have is time.
Sure.
And the most important thing is what we do at that time. So I want to say thank you for being a guest and coming on. I really do appreciate it. I could have said it off camera, but I want people to really understand what respect is and how to appreciate people's time. And you're taking time out of your day for this, which is incredible for the viewers as well. Kaiser, I know you're back there. Thanks, brother. Aside from that, for the closing statement, I guess you got all happy. But yeah.
Hey, just so you know, one of my absolute favorite quotes is "Ground can be recovered, but time never," by Napoleon Bonaparte.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ground can be recovered, but
time never. So in war, ground can be recovered, but time never.
Beautiful. For anyone just watching, any closing statement, anything you'd like to say to them? If you saw Kirt at 15 years old, what would you tell Kirt at 15?
What would I tell me at 15?
Yeah, it was
Listen,
at 15, yeah,
hey,
20, 25.
I think we could talk about business and we could talk about all these things and we could talk about like sayings and quotes and staying consistent and having a good attitude, and we can come up with all these things. I've always said, and I said it from the time that we started the business, was always just do the right thing. And whether we know it or not, because some people that do the wrong thing say, no one told me or no one warned me. I think as human beings, we always know in any situation what the right thing is to do. And I think if everyone can just, whatever circumstance or situation you find yourself in, it'll always change, it'll always get better, but regardless of the pressure, do the right thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.